All right, welcome back. We're doing the fifth video in the Smart Trader trade tracking application. And between this video and the last one, I was able to get the Yahoo Finance API set up, and actually I didn't use the NPM library. I actually just did it all. Well, I actually couldn't get it to install for some reason, which was actually a good thing because then we got to build it manually. So hopefully I'll go over that today. Last time we did this, we got all the trades grouped together, which was a big piece of the puzzle. And then the API, doing the Yahoo Finance stuff was kind of the other big piece of the puzzle. So today what we're going to do is we are definitely going to start with clicking on details. So I'll show that. Let me go ahead and just share my screen. So this is the one I've been working on that's kind of ahead of this, I guess, bigger tutorial. And this is what happens. This is using the Yahoo Finance API. So these are all, if the market was open, they'd be 15 minutes delayed, but today is Good Friday, March 29th. So the markets are closed. So these are yesterday's closing prices, which is really cool. So basically what I have here set up is when you come to the homepage, it will be the dashboard, and the dashboard will be all of your currently open positions. Cause I think that's, at least for me, that's like the most important thing, because the closed positions are what they are. When I wake up in the morning, they're not going to be affected by the market. And so basically the dashboard will show this. It will show me total value of the portfolio, current amount that's invested. So this would be closed positions plus cash, currently invested amount. So that way I have an idea of like, how heavy am I? I could probably actually make this a percentage, but maybe that's a good idea to put a percent there just to know what percent invested I am. But here's the realized P&L. So this comes from the closed trades, and then the unrealized P&L is the live open amount of P&L that I have for the open positions, and then total P&L, which just combines the two, and the total P&L percent. So pretty basic stuff. And then I did add, these are older ones from when we were working on it before, but the new ones, anything we add now will actually get the name from Yahoo Finance as well. So that's kind of cool that that's in there. In case, someone doesn't know ticker symbols and names very well. Great. And then what I want to do is then add the trade sheet at the bottom. This isn't done yet, but basically what I'd like to do is when I add a to-do, I want the to-do to actually look the same as this. So like, let's say tonight, well, I guess Sunday night, Easter, the market will be open Monday. Let's say like over the weekend, I know what trades I want to take. I've looked, I'll put them all in this way. And then when you go to the to-do, basically there's nothing there now, but it will look sort of like, something just like this, where it's got all the information. And then let's say I actually take the trade. I'll just have a button to click, and then it will automatically add it to my trade ledger. The only thing I might have to adjust is price, because obviously you don't always get, even if you're setting limit orders and everything, you're probably not going to get the exact price that you set. It just depends. So that might have to change, but I think it'd be cool because then, one, it forces for me to put in all the information, exactly what I want, and then makes it really easy. Like when I do the trade, just click it, and then it's on the ledger. I might have to change the price, but other than that, everything else will then flow through all the way to my dashboard page here. And all the statistics and all that, like it'll literally just be one click. And so I think that'll be a really useful thing. And then basically what'll happen on the homepage is that the trade sheet will be down here. And of course, can always go to the to-do list over here. So I got that implemented, and then I'll just show you what the details looks like. So if we go to statistics, and we already did this last time. I may have changed some of this stuff. We'll go over that. When you click the details now, so now you can see that all the different transactions or trades within the larger trade are all shown here. We get the average open price. So, these are pretty simple. You just basically calculate the average open price, an average close price, and then the total cost, total sold, gain loss. I just have a hold here in case there's something else I want to add, what the total impact on the portfolio is. So these are basically already visible on this page, but when you click in now, you can see some more statistics, and then you can go through here. And this is what I really wanted to make it easy. I can put my, chart beside it and say like, okay, I bought it here. Like, was that the right thing to do, without having my charts to have to be like all marked up? All I really need now is like the stop loss line, the average price I've paid. And then maybe if I want to do a new buy, a line for that. So I don't have to have all the chart all messed up and marked up when I'm actually trying to trade. So I think this is really helpful. You can, of course, edit and delete from here as well. So what we're going to do today is, excuse me, we are going to get this set up. So you just click here. So this will just be a details handler. Now we do have to lift state here because I need to get this information lifted and then dropped back down into the details because the details is not a child of trade statistics. So that got a little messy, and maybe there's a better way to do it, but I found a way that works just fine. So we're going to do that. And hopefully if we have time today, I don't know, I only have an hour and a half. I'd like to implement the Y finance thing, but the good thing about this is if we do the details thing, at least you have a way to look over everything you've done in the past. The only thing you wouldn't have is like a live look at the portfolio, which, you could do from your own trading platform if you wanted to. So let's get started. I will close out of this one. Let me get this open and let me close down. Close this one down and let's get this one fired up here. Okay. Split this terminal up. Okay, so let's take a quick look at what we have. So obviously nothing on the dashboard. We haven't, done the CSS on the buttons. I'm not going to worry about that today. That's easy to do. And you could make it look however you want. But what I do want to do is get the details handler in here and be able to do what I just showed you, like with SMCI. So that will be the biggest thing to handle today. And I'm trying to think. Yeah, that's it, because we don't need to mess with the dashboard because or the portfolio page, because there just won't be anything here. Let's get this nailed because this is enough code to probably have to deal with. So let me get this going. Just make sure I can see all this. Looks good. Okay, so let's rock and roll. So what we're going to need to do is, let me get rid of this. We will have to lift state here. So let's just go ahead and build that now. So what we're going to do, okay, so let's see, we'll just do detail stocks, set detail stocks, whoops. And we're going to use the use state. I don't know if I have that. Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. Easy. And this will just be a list, right? Because what we're going to do is we've got on the detail page, we have an array, a list of transactions that we want displayed, which are all part of the overall trade. So that's what we're going to be passing through. And then we'll have a state updater. State updater. And we'll just use this kind of way of passing through. So set detail stocks, and then we'll pass the new value in here. Okay, so I think we've got everything we need. Just use state here. Okay. And let's go ahead and on the, do I not have a details? I don't. Let me just copy that route over from here. And then I need to pass on the trade stats. We're going to need to pass this. I'll just copy this over. So on trade stats, we need to pass through the state updater and the set detail stocks. And then on the details page, we're going to pass through the actual detail stocks. And I actually don't know that we need this. but we'll check. I actually think we just need this one. But let's go to let's get a details page. Do I have one of those here? I don't think I do. I don't. Nope. Okay, let's add that. Okay. And I will let me import in everything we need real quick. Just for the sake of time, this will be much faster than typing all of this out. We won't need all this. I'm going to delete some of this, but let me get the bulk of it in here. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the use effect because I don't want to get bogged down with all that. I do want to show one thing though. So basically what we're going to do here is, we're going to have two different headers for the details page because the open trades will require information from Yahoo Finance, right? Because they're going to be unrealized gain loss. We're going to need to know the actual price in order to show like what the gain loss is on the actual stock. Whereas the closed trades are already just going to have the price that we put in when we close the trade, like what prices. That'll have all that information. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all the open trade stuff so we don't, again, get bogged down with all the Yahoo Finance stuff. Let's see, is this open trade? Yeah, we can close all and get rid of all this. Just leave that note there so don't forget. Okay. So, and we won't need all of this stuff right now until we do the open trade stuff, but we're going to need Yahoo Finance for that. So there's some stuff imported here that we won't need. And actually, and like use effect, that's to get Yahoo. This is to get Yahoo. We won't need that stuff. The open trade detail header, we won't need that yet. So I don't know if you can see on the screen, but the lighter blue stuff is just means it's not being used. If it's bright blue, it is being used. So we'll come back to this stuff. But for right now, and why do I have a problem? Because we don't need this anymore. We just need Okay. All right. So again, just right here, we're setting the portfolio to $1 million. I do need a way to change that so it's easy to update. But since this won't be like there's no login and registration, you'd have to clone this code in order to use it. I just want to make it so there's one global variable for the whole application, so you don't have to like find it in different places. But anyway, we will need this later, not right now, but I'm just going to leave that there. Okay, so here's what we're bringing in from props. So again, that's coming from here, and we're passing it using props through here. And so to do that, you just do, you're basically just deconstructing like you would in any JavaScript, and you're just using props. It's coming right through here from what we passed in. And then we just need to calculate everything here, and then we're going to pass it through again through this header and access it through the header, just like we did with, if you remember the trade stats, we did something very similar where we did all the calculations here, and then we just passed it through the header component. So pretty similar. I do need to make the trade details component, which we don't have. Trade details, header.jsx, whoops. Okay, and these calculations are a little bit simpler because we no longer have a large array of arrays of objects. We just have an array of objects. So for when we click on SMCI, just to make this really clear, I don't know what the heck happened there. Oops, what's going on here? What did I do? Oh, I'm gonna have to reload this, aren't I? Did I change the shoot? All right, I broke it. But anyway, so like on the trade stats page, we have, remember we have to do all the grouping of the trades because we have many trades which are made up of many transactions. And so that all needs to be grouped together. But once we click in on SMCI, let's say now we go into here and now we just have an array of objects, right? I think it's like five different transactions within there. So 5 objects within the array. So it's a little bit easier to do the calculations for. So that's all here. And then, and again, down here, we're just sorting it by date. So pretty simple. We're going through and we're just conditionally styling. So if it was a buy, it's a little light green. If it's a sell, it's a light red. And then we did have to do a little bit of formatted pricing. And so this is, if we want the 2 decimals, we built this already within our format functions here. So if it's the total cost format or formatted cost, then there's no decimal places because it's a big number, like $100,000. If it is price, then of course we put the 2 decimal places at the end. So that's all that's doing. And then let's get, did I export this trade details? Okay. What I don't know is why I'm getting an error on here. Let's take a look, bring this over. Whoops, oopsie, oh, because we're in this. I want that. Okay, let me just reload this and see what we're getting. Trade details. Oh, I didn't import trade details. No big deal. Usually it imports automatically. There we go. Oh, got even worse. Oh, because I need to. Yeah, okay. Oh, and that's right. Okay, let's build the header real quick. Let me just pop this in from the header to get this. And then we'll go over this code just so this stops breaking on me. Oh, come on now. Still got an issue. Okay, filter resolve import, trade details header.js from trade. Trade details. Oh, right, okay. I don't know why it does this, or maybe I just did that. Holy smokes. What is going on? Why are these all current port calcs? Wow, okay. Okay, now we're good. It's because on the other file, for some reason, I made the format functions a .jsx, a React component instead of a .js file. So that's my bad. Okay, now we're good. All right, so let's add the trade. We're going to add the handler to our trade stats. Sorry, there's a lot of back and forth here, but we'll go back over it in just a second. Let me. So there's our details handler, but we're going to need to. Oh, we already did it. I just didn't have it. That's right, because it didn't have a link to anywhere. So that's all set up already. Okay, great. So let's see if this actually works. Okay, cool. Is this right? 13.5. Yes, I think so. We're going to do some conditional styling so that. Oh, actually, no, we do want the details. What am I thinking? We do want that there. Okay, cool. I think this is 1,000, 1,000. Okay, I think this is working now. Let me just go over how the details handler is working, lifting state, and all that. So, okay, so the details handler is down here. It's just a simple on click. We're going to pass whatever stock we're looking at through. So let's say it's SMCI, and remember a stock is going to be an array of objects. And on the trade stats page, and we're just going to come up here to the handler, and we're going to let the new value, this says trade group. I mean, it probably should say something different, but it's literally just the stock, the one single stock. I guess technically it's a trade group, coming through with all its transactions, and we're going to let the new value equal this, and then we're going to pass that through the state updater. So we're going to lift state up to the ultimate parent, which is app.jsx in here, which will now set detail stocks to the new value that's passed in. So now we're going to take, I'm just going to keep using SMCI. We're going to take the SMCI array of stocks, and we're going to set that to detail stocks. Okay, so now we have set detail stocks is that SMCI array. So now that's what detail stocks is. And then we're going to pass detail stocks down through props. And we come to trade details. And when we deconstruct it, we have now access to that detail stocks state, which is SMCI or NVIDIA or Apple or whatever. Trying to remember why I have this. Let me just console log this real quick. Console log. Let me add a oh. Let me clear this. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know if this is the lifted. Okay, so when I pass through the detail stocks, I just get this 5 times. So what I had to do was, I had to set it to index 0 to just grab the first one. And I honestly I'm not sure why it does that. Let's do this. Let me just so I can show you what we're getting here. Clear this. Oh no, I guess it does. Maybe I don't even need to do this. Well, because it weirdly still gives me the exact same thing. Okay. All right. So we're taking the detail stocks, and then we're passing it through all these pretty basic functions. These are coming from, which one? The calc function. So I'll just pull them up real quick. So pretty basic stuff here. It's just like gain loss. You're basically just looping through. If it's a buy, add up the buys, add up the sells. I mean, this is pretty straightforward math here. It's not anything too crazy. Average open price, add up, share price times the amount of shares you bought, add all those different ones up, divide by total shares, and you get the average price. Percent gain loss. I mean, all these are pretty straightforward. Just one thing I've missed a couple times when doing these with calculations is sometimes I forget. I think I've mentioned this in a video. Some of them do require the portfolio, right? Like to know what the impact on the portfolio was, you're going to need to have the total portfolio value. So I've run into a couple errors where I kind of automatically pass this through everything, and then I forget to add the portfolio to some of the calculations. So then we're going to pass all these through here, just like we did on the trade stats header. So it's pretty straightforward. Again, there's nothing crazy here, just using our old date changer. We're using the same type of table setup as we did on trade stats. We're sorting it, we're mapping through it. The one difference here is you don't need to do the index 0. So on trade stats, we had to do the index 0 of A and B because remember, you're getting an array of objects. So we needed to target that first one because that was the first date when the trade was opened. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. So that is the difference here. Conditional styling, like I mentioned, and then we're just using a lot of the same stuff here. And we just have the edit and delete button stuff here as well. So nothing too crazy there. And then again, just like we did on trade stats, we're passing all the stuff through here. And then let's go to the trade stats, or I'm sorry, the trade details header. Move that over here. Save this. And again, we're passing through, we're deconstructing it with props again. We've been using props a lot. It's a nice, easy way to pass things through. We actually don't even need the use state, but at the very end, I'm going to go through and clean up all that kind of stuff. And then however you want to set up the stats, is however you want it to look. This is just what I chose to set it up to look like, but you can do whatever you want. I would like to add something here. I have no idea what that is. Must have put a colon somewhere accidentally. Where is that? Found you. Okay, now that's gone. So however you want to set this up is totally up to you. And then I don't think there's anything really much trickier. Here was the conditional styling. So if the trade gain loss, and because the trade gain loss, if that's positive, let's say, then obviously your portfolio impact is going to be positive. Your percent gain or loss is going to be positive. So I just use the same one through here and just basic conditional styling. And then you just got to check to make sure some of these need to be, formatted properly. I don't think there was, yeah, that was pretty much it. So it's a lot like the trade stat stuff. So pretty simple stuff, honestly. I mean, if you did the trade stat stuff, okay. Now I have another example of how to use a header, how to use props. Let's see, we've only been going for, why doesn't YouTube want to tell me? Oh, here we go, 20 minutes. So I think we will do our best to tackle, I probably have an hour left to tackle the Yahoo Finance API stuff. Let's at least get the back end and the service layer and all that set up. I don't know that we'll have time to format all the front end, but I would at least like to get you to have access to how to do that, how to use external API stuff, and do it manually in case there are no. I mean, I do like the libraries, like the Y Finance library is nice because it does bring everything in as JSON. And for something like Yahoo Finance, I think they stopped in 2017 doing anything with development of its API. So it's been really cool that there's a lot of like open source stuff out there of people working on it to kind of keep the upkeep. But I found two different endpoints, one for the name and one for the current price that both worked. So the libraries just make it a little simpler and you don't have to find different endpoints. It's just all one it's just a function. You just different functions you use rather than having to access the endpoint. So let's go ahead and do that. Hopefully the trade details thing was pretty straightforward. If not, leave a comment or send me a LinkedIn. I've had a couple people reach out with questions, and I'm absolutely happy to help. I've been a little busy. My coding bootcamp literally just ended last night. I'm done. So I should be a little more active with posting the videos and keeping up with stuff. It just kind of got crazy there the last couple of weeks with all the different projects we had to do, but now totally focused on this and one other project only. So should be good to go there. So so everything's working there. Let's go ahead and mess around with the back end here and get our Yahoo Finance API going. Hopefully this coffee is not too hot. Okay, so I'm going to open this up and let's take a look at the back end. I haven't messed with the back end too much in a while, so this should be fun. If you like back end, which I prefer. Okay, so we are basically going to make, just like we have here, we have controller and routes. I don't have a model because we're not going to be sending it to a database. The whole point of this is to have live data. We are going to change the JavaScript model, or the, what do I call it? The trade model, because we need to unlock not the date. Wait, where is the name? Oh, I guess I didn't even have it on here. I thought I had a holding spot for name, but maybe not. So we do need to add name. So this is pretty simple. This no longer needs attention. Oops. Okay. So pretty simple. We're just going to do name. And we are going to have type will be string. I am not requiring it because in case, sometimes you type in a ticker. There are a few weird tickers. I rarely, if ever, actually, let's do make it required. Because you know what? Even if it is a wrong name, it's just going to store it as an error. We'll have an error throw. So you can always just delete it or edit it, and then it'll go back out and get the name again. So we'll make it required. So that's all we have to do there. That way it just stores into our Mongo model. So we want that there. So that's all we need on the trade model. Now on the controllers, we're going to make a Yahoo controller, yahoo.controller.js. And just remember that the controller is basically what goes out and gets, grabs what you need, right? So you've got, let me just add the route here so I don't forget. Okay, everything's working here. So just to walk through this, so again, to go through the model stuff. So let's say we're adding a trade, okay? Basically what we're doing is we're going through the server right here. So all of our, for our Mongo stuff is /API/ whatever in the router. So if we go to trade routes, which we imported, right? That's what we imported as the router. And we go here and we say, okay, add trade, which is a post. So the route layer here is where we're going to do the post, the get, and then actually put the literal route here. So it's API/trades/add. What is that going to do? That's going to send a post request to our trade controller, which we imported. Okay, so we go from here and now we go to the trade controller, which I don't have open. Where are you? To our trade controller. And then from here, we're going to actually call the API, which for Mongo, which we set up from our .env file. And here's where we run the function. Where is the create trade? Okay, right here. And so we're going to try to create the trade. Now this is done through Mongoose. So which makes it really easy. You don't have to do a whole bunch. So with Yahoo, we're going to have to do it a little differently. And we're just going to send the request body, which is our form, and we're going to send it through. And then we have, because we're sending it to the database and we don't want to have weird information put in our database, we have a back end, what do I want to call it? Like a way to check that the data coming through that's getting put into the database is proper. So, which is why, like, let's say we didn't have any front end validation, and front end validation is pretty easy to get around. And someone wanted to put a weird, like something besides buy or sell in. Okay. They wanted to go in and be an idiot and change it. Well, by the time it goes through all the way and does the post request, it's going to take that request body and it's going to send it to the model. The model's going to say, nope, you have to have an enumerator. So this enumerator blocks it and says, if it's not buy, sell, it's not going. And basically what'll happen is down here, we'd get a little message saying like, yeah, denied, won't get stored in the database. So that's what this model's for. We don't need this for Yahoo because we're only doing GET requests. We're only getting stuff back from Yahoo. So let's go ahead and close these. So that's just how the different layers work. What we're going to have to do though as well is in our server.js, we're going to need to have two different ones of these so that we know which router to use, right? Because we want to make sure it goes to Yahoo Finance and not our internal MongoDB router. So let me pull up. Let's start with the controller. Because we'll need this to import into the routes. So we're still going to do an async function. And I'm just calling it y of quotes. So we're literally building the functions just like we did for the trade stuff. Symbol will be this. So this is we're using params. Let me show. Where is that on here? Well, we don't have it on there right now. Hold on. Let me show you I'll just show you what it's going to look like. It'll basically look something like this because this is param. So this is like when we want to update, we pass in the trade ID so we know which thing from the database update. We're going to do the same thing. We're just going to use like a colon ticker, and that way we can pass through the ticker into params. So that's what this is doing. So that's how we're grabbing the symbol. And then we're going to do Yahoo response is going to be, we're going to do a fetch. And this took a weirdly while to find out. I don't know why it took so long to find the different endpoints. Like I thought I'd just Google them and they would pop up, but you kind of have to play around with it. I finally found this one to be the best. It's really important that this is V8. There's a lot of versions of the different endpoints. And if you don't have the right one, it's not going to work. So weirdly, this chart one was the one that did the best of getting me the symbol I wanted. So you just have to copy this, put this, so then we'll pass the symbol in. So let's say it's Apple, AAPL. It will pass that in. I don't believe it matters. I uppercase everything just to be safe, and because they're tickers, they always look uppercase. I'm almost positive it doesn't matter if it's uppercase or not when you pass it through here, just so you know. And then we're going to wait the response and get JSON back, which is cool. We can do that. And then if there's errors, I always like to console the errors here. Excuse me. And then just throw us the internal server, just so we know something went wrong. And here I was just testing the different stuff to see what works. Because the other one, you need a different, and this is why those libraries are nice, because you just put the ticker in and you tell it what you want, like the name or the price or the board of directors or earnings per share, all that stuff like comes up pretty easily. Here you have to find each of the endpoints separately, and some endpoints have some stuff and other endpoints have other stuff. And then again, to be careful, this is a V1, not version 8. And again, you pass the symbol in and we get the data back. And if there's an error, great. If not, great. And then just like I always do, I just put it in a object. And then we can export the controller. So now we have to do the routes. So remember, we take it from the controller to the routes, and then routes to the server, and then server to the client side. So let me pull up the routes. And this one's pretty simple because all we're doing is getting the name. We're just doing 2 GET requests, so it's pretty straightforward. So we need to get the router from Express here. So we're going to use the same Express. We're not using any frameworks on top of Express. Well, Mongoose, I guess, but that's really just to talk to MongoDB. It has nothing to do with this. We're importing that controller we just built. And then we're just doing a GET request for the quote. And here's where I mentioned the params thing. So symbol, quote, and name. And again, they have to be 2 different ones because they're 2 different endpoints. I wish they were all one single endpoint. And the cool thing is, like, let's say there was one endpoint, or let's say, I'm pretty sure in this one, well, we could just look. I guess I could just see what this gives us. Show you what we get here, just in case you haven't messed with endpoints this way. Yes, you don't get much with it. Like, this just gives you really not much at all, but this is the only way I could seem to get the short name here. If we do the other one, let's grab this one. I think this one gives a ton of information. We'll just change this to, yeah, okay, so this one gives, I don't even know what all this is. Yeah, this gives you all the information except for the name. I don't know why it gives you all of this. I don't know what these are. These must be historical. I don't know. This must all be historical prices, but this gives you a lot, like the exchange name, the full exchange name, type of instrument, equity, all the timestamps, the previous close, the volume. Also, not a ton of stuff. It's not as great as, again, the library, but you do get a lot here, but I don't know for what reason it does not give you the name of the stock. So that's why I had to use 2 different ones, just so that's clear. But this is what it looks like when you do an external endpoint like this, and it just gives you all this. And then you basically just have to set. I'll have to show you in the front end, because basically you're going to get back all this data. And then on the front end, you'll drill down into the actual piece of the data that. So anyway, that's just how the endpoints work. And it's cool. You can mess around. Like, some people love, like, Pokemon. There's a great Pokemon one. I think there's one for, like, people that like Dungeons and Dragons. There's a bunch of ones from, like, IMDb, the database. I don't know if they have their own, but there's plenty of, like, other ones that give you access to IMDb's database, their database. Spotify has an external one. Some require keys, some don't. And if you're interested in finance stuff, oh God, what is it? What does FRED stand for? The Federal Reserve Economic Database. I think that's what it stands for. You can access all of the Federal Reserve data, like everything, but you do need a key, but it is free. And so that's pretty cool. If you're interested in that, might do something with that on a project at some point. So anyway, back to here. Okay, we've got our routes. So we got 2 different routes because we have 2 different endpoints. Now we're going to bring those into server. And this, for some reason, this gave me a lot of trouble, and it shouldn't, because you should very easily be able to do this by just creating another route. So the Yahoo router route. And then we will just do this. So the key here, okay, good. And you see down here, like, everything pinged properly. You'd get an error if there was something wrong. You just need it. So everything is still /API. It's just now we want /API go to Yahoo router. If it's quote, symbol, name, symbol, etc. So that's it for the back end. Now we do have time to do the front end. So hopefully that was just like a nice little refresher from when we first built the server and how the different model, controller, service, routes, I guess we're going to build the service layer now, works. So let's go ahead and inside here, we're going to call this one. We'll just call it Yahoo service. Oops. Okay. Again, I'm just going to cheat and copy this, and then we're going to walk through it, because this one's a little bit different. I might as well pull up the stock service one too, just so you can see the two different ones. So just a reminder, because it's been a while, how this works. Okay, so we're going to import Axios, which we installed at the very beginning, and this helps us mess around with API endpoints. We're going to set the base URL to this because, again, this is what we have on the server, right? /API, and then either router or Yahoo router. So that's great. Then we just create functions. So get all stocks, which is you just got to make sure your gets are correct. So gets and post, and get /trades. Get us all our trades. If we need to pass an ID in, we do that this way. So this is how I mentioned here. We have this because we're using params. Oh, shoot, went to the wrong one. To pass that ID in. So ID comes through, trade /ID. And then that passes through to the routes. We have params again. I know this is a lot of repetitive, but I think it's important to understand how this all works. And then on the get one trade, you see rather than passing in nothing when you get all trades, we have to pass in request params.id. That's how that all flows through. We do the exact same thing with Yahoo. Close that. And Yahoo is just going to take the symbol. It will always be a GET request, and we'll, of course, have to know what the symbol is, or it's not going to know what to access. So pretty straightforward again. Get quote, get name. We're going to pass a symbol through. We're going to do quote. We're going to do name because we have two different endpoints. So we need to go through that. And then if we have an error, throw the error. And then we are just going to export the Yahoo service layer so we can access it on the front end. Well, this technically is the front end, but so the user can see it basically in our different components is what this is doing. So this way you don't have to do all this stuff inside of the service layer is nice because then you don't have to do all this inside of the file. All you have to do, or the component, all you have to do is the use effect, and you can get most of the information. So yeah, pretty simple. Same thing as the way that ID worked. I don't think we need to walk through it again. I could, but I don't want to bore people. But let's go to the, now what we're going to need is, we're going to need a way to, let's see, what do we want to do first? I think, let's just console log it on, let's just use the portfolio page because there's nothing on the dashboard right now. Let's use, yeah, I'm just going to use some console logs so you can see how this works with use effect. So let me grab a use effect from, where do I have an easy one here already built? Oh, we'll just use this one. Okay. So let's grab this use effect, go over this. And we are going to have to import the Yahoo service. Great, so now we have that. Oh, shoot, wrong one. We're going to need that anyway, eventually, but dump this one, just put this one in so you can see it. Okay, so we'll walk through this, and we'll just console log some stuff first, because I don't know if I'll have time to build the whole thing and make it look decent. So what are we doing here? So we use the, we don't even have use effect yet. Okay, so use effect is built into React. So that's how we import it right here. Same as like use state and use hook and all that. Do I need all this for each? I really don't. I really just need, yeah, I don't need this whole thing. I don't need you. I don't need that. We're actually just going to manually put a symbol in here. I'll type it here just so you can see it. I don't need that right now. Oh, shoot. Where do I set prices? Oh, yeah. I don't need all this. I'm just trying to console log stuff. So let me get rid of... Okay, great. So that worked. Okay, so let's just look at I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. And if you want to skip ahead and just see how to get the price, great. We'll have that in another video. But I do think it's important to understand how this stuff works so that you can recreate it however you want in a different way and not do exactly what I do. If you want different information from a different API, like hopefully this is helpful to like see how it works. Maybe I'll even do a separate video just for APIs, but well, I guess it's all APIs, but external APIs, I should say. Okay, so we're going to use effect here. We're going to set symbol. I mean, you could just put the symbol here, but usually you're going to be bringing data in somewhere. So I'm just going to do this separate and say the symbol is this, and that way we can change it. We're going to pass that symbol through our .get quote, which, oops, is right here, .get quote. And then remember, it's going to go all the way through server, backend server, then routes, then controller, and then go out to Yahoo and bring us back the data we want. Now that data we get, so here's where you use, and we've used this for the Mongo stuff too. So just the .then and the .catch to get the error. So if this works, then .then, the response, right? We're just gonna use an arrow function here, the response, and first I'm gonna console log. It's actually just console log. Maybe just console log the response first, just so you can see what we're gonna get here. Let's do that. Okay, so if we do that, here's all the data we get. And sometimes with an API, like even though I showed you that when I did it actually in the browser window, there's just it's all black and white. It's kind of hard to see like where the commas are, where the curly brackets are, where the end bracket, like it's hard to see what's an array, an object, and all that stuff. So it's almost a little easier to do it this way because every API is going to be different. Like most of them don't have the word chart here. This one just does because that's the endpoint we're going to. Remember, it's like /v8/chart or whatever. So then what you can do is just drill down. And so now kind of what you know is that, okay, I got to go in a chart. Excuse me, gosh. And you can see here it's an object, right, with the curly brackets. So what do I need to do in order to access that? I use dot notation. So .chart is going to get me in there. Sometimes then you have to use the index because it's an array or list, whatever we call it in JavaScript. So this is helpful to walk through that way. So, okay, chart, that's an object, so dot notation. And you may not know where you're going, so you might have to open all this stuff up just to see what you want. So dot chart, okay, to get in there. Now we want result, which is also inside of an object. So we need to do dot result, right? It's inside of there. But now result is an array. I don't know why it's all built this weird way, but it is. So now we have an array, and we can see that right here. Okay, let's open it up. Well, there's actually only one. Yeah, there's only actually one result here. So we can do index 0. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll just drill down to that point and then see like, okay, because it's kind of gets to be confusing. So let's close this out and let's say, okay, now I've got result index 0. You might need index 1, 5. It just depends on the way the JSON set up. So let's reload. Okay, great. So now we have, wait. Oh, I didn't save, sorry. Okay, so now we know we're at this line. We no longer need this. Now we've drilled in partial away. Okay, so now we're in here. So now again, we see we need dot notation because we have curly brackets. And which one of these do we need? Well, it looks like we need probably this one. So we're gonna do dot meta. And then we can see meta is also an object. If these were the flat brackets, then we know it's an array. We might have to index through, but it's not, it's an object. But which one do we want? Oh, we want, and they always call it weird stuff. It's never as simple as this price because there's a lot of different prices. Actually, I don't remember which one we're using. Regular price, maybe? Yeah, regular market price. Where is that one? Yeah, here. And so it's cool. Like, and now you can see, because again, on that JSON, it was like a lot of information and just all punched together. But when you do it this way and you console log it, you can see, like, I couldn't tell that there was 52-week high and low in that data. And maybe that's what you want. Maybe you want yesterday's close because you want to see what the, like, let's say it's Monday and the market's open and it's, 10 a.m. Eastern time, market's been open for 30 minutes. You could look at, and again, this is 15 minutes delayed. Actually, I feel like it's less than that. It seems more like it's like 5, but they say 15, is that you can see the days change. Or let's say, because it is delayed data, you don't really care, and you have a trading platform that gives you live data. So that's why I have data that's old. Let's say at the end of Monday, you want to see how you did for the day. So you could easily add that. Like, we could easily add that to, let's pretend this is our current portfolio. Like, you could easily add a column that says days change, weeks change, year to date change. Like, you could calculate all that stuff once you have that data, because you can get all the historical pricing. So you could say, I don't know what the last day of the year was last year. Let's just say it was December 28th. I mean, it would be the 31st, but that wouldn't be an actual, maybe that was, the market was, whatever the last day the market was open of last year, let's just say it was the 28th of December. You could hard code that, right? And say access that old date and then access the current close date. And you could say year to date, how have I done on that individual stock or whatever you want. So there's a lot of ways you can mess around with this data, which is pretty fun. So hopefully that's helpful to like how to drill down into those external APIs and find, some are a lot easier. Like, I feel like in the bootcamp we did a Pokemon. Oh, there's a cool Star Wars one too. That one was a little harder. But like the Pokemon one's a fun one to just easily, I don't even like Pokemon, but like it's a fun one to just like learn how to drill down in data. But so that's how that all works. And then we get our price. And then if we wanted to do, let's say we want to do get name instead, just change this to get name. This might be different. Oh, well, this obviously isn't going to be a thing. Let's see. We'll mess around and see what we actually, oh shoot, we do need that. I guess we can't. So we'll try this with get name. Let's go back to here. Reload. Okay, so this one's different. So this one is dot quote type. Is it a dot quote type? Okay. Type, sorry for all the back and forth. Okay, so we know it's quote type, and then we're gonna have to use dot notation again. Okay, quote type, then what do we want? Result, okay. And then now we have an array. It's probably array of 0. Yes, it is. Array, and then we know it's these, so it's dot short name. So array of 0, or index 0, dot, I think just that short name. Let's see if that gives it to us. Cameco Corporation. There we go. And so there we just, again, had to change which endpoint we're going to by doing the dot get name, which takes us here. And that brings us to slash name, which brings us to a different route, to the controller, to the endpoint, and brings us back what we want. So I'm not going to have time to do all the, about an hour in. It's probably better if I just stop it here. But we did get the APIs to work. So now we have access to the data. So we just need to use those use effects, and we need to set up some way to know that we only want to see the open trades. That's pretty simple. We only want open trades. And now for the next video, we can do, instead of hard coding the unrealized gain loss, like I've been putting at like 250,000 or something, I think. Let's see. Yeah, instead of this, we'll be able to create this live. And that's why I'm not going to, it takes until all the stuff flows through, there's a lot of ways for this to break and not be able to see it on the front end. So I'd rather have time to be able to do a bunch of this stuff at once before we try and load the actual page, or there's just a lot of like imports and things that are dependent on other things. We're not really going to be able to see much with 30 minutes left. So we'll work on that. And then we can, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the big one. And then the other one thing that was kind of weird, I'll show you on the other file. Let me end this one real quick. Let me run this other one that's a little bit ahead. So the one thing that's a little, and I really don't know the answer to this yet. It's something I'm still thinking about. So if we go to this is easy. Like we go to SMCI, it's a closed trade. It is what it is. There isn't many ways to look at it besides, this is what it is. This is what it is. I mean, these are done numbers. However, on an open trade, this probably isn't a good example. Do I have one with multiple? Shoot. Well, actually, we can use CCJ. So there's a couple ways to look, and I've mentioned this before. You could say, let's say, like this is clearly a gain, right? And we didn't sell. We sold half the position at 60, so we made 50% gain on half of the beginning position. So what you could do is you could adjust average open price down. I think it would be exactly 20, right? And I honestly prefer to look at it this way when I'm trading. I keep this $40 as my price. On the way up, it's easy, right? Because let's say you're adding to the position, you're going to adjust that average cost up, obviously, if you're pyramiding, if that's the way you trade, or invest. I mean, maybe you're just buying more, and maybe you just buy the same amount every month or whatever of an index. That's easily adjusting up. But then when we go, let's say we buy 3 times, and then we're like, well, got earnings coming up, don't have big of a cushion as I thought. I'm going to sell a third of the position. Well, now it's kind of like, how do you look at the average price? Is it the average of the 3 buys? Is it the original price? Is it now a calculation of all of that together, including the sale? So now we've clearly made money. Let's say we were up 20% total and we sell a third of it. There's a lot of different ways you can look at it. Again, when the trade's closed, it's done. It gets a little more complicated the more, and I don't buy and sell a ton. But the environment we've been in this year requires, I think, a little more trimming unless you're in the big leaders, which there aren't that many of. So it's a little more tactical of a market on a lot of trades these days. And so I'm trimming back and moving stops tighter a lot more. So I don't know. I don't have like a good answer for this, but it's something I need to figure out. And then it's going to dictate the way this looks for open trades. So closed trades, they are what they are. They're great. This is super helpful. The look at the current portfolio is great. It's a great snapshot. I do think I'm going to add percent invested. That we don't have to do math in your head. And sometimes that changes. And it'd be nice even if there was a way to like timestamp the percent invested every day. So kind of take a look at like, if the market was if I look back like last year and the market was doing well, was I heavily invested or was I under invested? When the market was doing really bad, was I over invested or under invested? Like lighter. I think those would all be helpful. There's a lot of things. I think I'm going to have to use timestamps because it's the only way I can think of doing an actual equity curve. Just timestamp at the end of the day what's the total P&L is, and then build the graph from that. I don't know. And they'll have to deal with the weekends somehow to keep it the same number all 3 days. But anyway, so that's what's left. I'm glad we got the two biggest things, I think. Grouping the trades together for the statistics page was a lot of work. Getting made it look simple today, but for me, it took a while to get those different Yahoo Finance endpoints and mess around with how to get the data and drilling down to the data I wanted and all that. And so with those two things now, it's pretty straightforward. Just have to figure out how to handle open trade details, the header up here, and then timestamping stuff for percent invested today and tomorrow and whatever. And then that'll also be the same solution for the equity curve. And then just have to add the to-dos thing, that should be pretty simple. So appreciate you all listening in. If there are any questions about the API, the group trades, the details handler, any of that stuff, leave me a comment or shoot me a message on LinkedIn. Happy to respond. Again, I have more free time now than I did before. So that's all we got for today. I hope everyone has a great day. Good weekend. Happy Easter. See you.